week 14 of the fantasy football season. And here's a few tight ends I would drop this week. The first guy, Logan Thomas of the Washington football team. So a big blow for Thomas and the football team here. He did get hurt in that ball game, is Logan Thomas. Obviously, he didn't tear the ACL or MCL. It wasn't showing up in the MRI. But right here, I still think it's going to be an issue here for Logan Thomas, where we're not going to see him for probably the rest of the season here. He's going to go under more testing. And right now, he's just a guy I can't trust with his injury history, especially this season, where he missed all the way from week 4 to week 11. So right here, he came back the last 2 games, and he showed some signs. Week 12 versus Seattle, 3 catches, 31 yards. And week 13 at the Vegas Raiders, 3 catches, 48 yards, and a touchdown. So the thing with Thomas is we don't know how long he's going to be out. Even if he's out 2 weeks, he's just not a guy, in my opinion, I would hold on to, especially going into the playoffs. It's make or break now for fantasy owners and fantasy teams. And you want your team pretty much as healthy as it could be. I know you could stash Thomas on your injured reserve spot, but right now, a lot of injuries around the league, better players who are banged up. And right now, even if he misses a week or 2, like I mentioned, he's not worth the wait as Thomas. And I would drop him this week if you got better options on the wire, and we know he's out. The next tight end's Noah Fant of the Denver Broncos. And Noah Fant, he's a guy I really haven't been a fan of over the last 2 seasons. I know he's shown some promise and had some good games along the way, but the last few weeks here, he's pretty much just been another tight end that's been putting up numbers that you can get off the wire, and it's totally not his fault. Teddy Bridgewater, he's declined as the season's gone on, and this Bronco offense as a whole, besides the running backs, have pretty much been non-existent. Week 10 versus Philly, 5 catches, 59 yards. Week 12 versus the Chargers, 3 catches, 12 yards. And week 13 at the Chiefs, 4 catches, 33 yards. So right there, the numbers aren't great. He's had 3 great matchups in a row here, is Noah Fant. And he's only reached double-digit fantasy points once. And he hasn't scored a touchdown as well as Noah Fant, going all the way back to week 6. So right there, that's a big problem. And this whole Bronco offense, like I mentioned, has been a problem. So right now, I just can't trust Fant, even though he does have a great matchup in week 14 versus Detroit. And the third and final tight end I would drop this week's Gerald Everett of the Seattle Seahawks. So Gerald Everett here, he's a good tight end, we know. We know he's made plays throughout his career with the Rams. But this season, 2 Jekyll and Hyde in the Seattle Seahawks offense. And just looking at the last month here, week 10 at Green Bay, 8 catches, 68 yards. Then week 11 versus Arizona, he didn't do anything really. 3 catches, 37 yards. Week 12, a nice bounce-back game at Washington. 5 catches, 37 yards, and a touchdown. And then week 13 versus San Francisco, 4 catches for 7 yards with 2 fumble losses. So right here, I'll give him this. He's getting the targets, but he's another tight end that's just touchdown dependent in this one. And right here, I know tight end's a crapshoot for the most part after the top 4 or 5 guys this season. But right now, Gerald Everett is too inconsistent for my liking. And he did get added in a few percent of fantasy leagues going into week 13. But right now, coming out of week 13, he's a tight end I would drop this week, even though I do like his matchup at the Houston Texans. So that's a few tight ends I would drop here for week 14 of the fantasy football season.